NFL Week 4 picks. Apologize for not getting the picks to you all last week. Unforeseen circumstances caused me to not be able to do them, just like Week 1. And I was kind of frustrated over the Bengals loss to the Bills, as I was in Week 2 after they lost to the 49ers. That's why the last 2 weeks I haven't done a Bengals recap, but hopefully that doesn't happen again. Win or lose, I'm still going to recap their games. I've just been frustrated with them the past couple weeks. They're 0-3. It's obviously been a tough year so far, but I will do a recap of those games from here on out, as well as picking the games in the NFL every week. But here we go with the Week 4 picks. Eagles and Packers on Thursday Night Football. Green Bay is 3-0. The Eagles are coming off a tough loss to the Lions. I see the Packers win this game. It'll be a good game, but it's Aaron Rodgers. It's at Lambeau Field, which is always a tough place to play. Rodgers is Rodgers. We all know that. And he's a tough quarterback to beat at home. And that's why I think the Packers will win this game. Titans and Falcons. Titans are coming off a 20-7 stinker loss to the Jaguars, which I was surprised by that one. I picked the Titans to win. And the Falcons are coming off a loss to the Colts. I also picked the Falcons to win. I'm surprised that they lost last week to Jacoby Brissett. But I don't know. It'll be a good game at Atlanta. But, the Falcons, they've got great players on offense. Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Devontae Freeman, Austin Hooper. They have the pieces on offense to have a good season. And, they've got to take a step towards having that good season with this win that I think they'll get against the Titans. So give me Atlanta. It'll be a good game, though. Titans, Marcus Mariota, he's an average quarterback, but the Titans will get some wins this year, like 7-9, 8-8, something like that. But the Falcons will win this game. Cleveland and Baltimore. Baltimore, they're coming off I do like the resilience that the Ravens showed in Kansas City last week after being down 33-10. Lamar Jackson led them back to within 5 in the fourth quarter before losing 33-28. And the Browns, they're not living up to the hype so far. I like I said a few weeks ago, I wasn't sold on them then, and I'm not even sold on them now. They played a tough game against the Rams last week, ended up losing by a touchdown. And, these next few games, we're going to find out a lot about who the Browns are. We'll see if they can regain some of that hype by winning some of these upcoming games, starting with this game at Baltimore, because so far they haven't done it. So far they haven't lived up to what most of the national media and the fans have expected from them. And I think the excitement for Browns fans is going to slowly dwindle and go down to the point where, they just don't have any expectations for the season. And another step to that will be this week, because I'm going to pick the Ravens to beat them, but it'll be a close game, though. Ravens win. New England and Buffalo. It's not too often where you see the Bills start 3-0, is it? Well, 3-0 for the first time since 2011. They played the Jets, the Giants, and the Bengals. Obviously they haven't had any competition so far. But this game is going to be a good measuring stick for them. We're going to find out who they are, what Josh Allen can do. The Patriots, normally there's that one game they lose in September where everybody's like, oh, is the dynasty over? Is Brady done? Is Belichick done? Are the Patriots not going to do anything this year? And they always end up proving everybody wrong and win the Super Bowl. But, yeah, this is going to be an interesting game, because we're going to find out a lot about who Buffalo is and if they're as good as their record says they are this game. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think New England wins. Kansas City and Detroit. Detroit, honestly, they've surprised me. I picked them to get a wild card spot this year. I think that Matthew Stafford has led, 2-0-1. They should have won that game against Arizona in Week 1. They should be 3-0 right now. But, since blowing that 24-6 lead in the fourth quarter against the Cardinals, they've rebounded nicely since then. Beating the Chargers and then beating the Eagles last week. But Kansas City's just too talented. You know who Patrick Mahomes is and how good he is. One of the best quarterbacks in the league. The Chiefs just are too good on offense to lose this game. But Detroit will give them a run for their money since it's at Detroit. But like I said, Kansas City just a much more talented team. Kansas City wins. Carolina and Houston. I'll take the Texans. just because, Cam Newton's out. Even though Kyle Allen played a great game backing up Cam Newton against Arizona last week, they won 38-20. But, again, just like the Chiefs, I think the Texans are a better team than the Panthers, especially with Cam Newton out. So yeah, Texans win. Raiders and Colts. I've said it all along. Jacoby Brissett is a pretty good quarterback. He's a good backup for somebody. And, I didn't think they were going to do much after Luck announced his retirement. But, so far, Brissett's defied the odds. He's played really good football. This ain't the team that went 3-13 a couple years ago when Luck was hurt and Brissett had to play the whole year. I think they'll have a much better record than that this year. And he's proven that he can get the job done. And quite honestly, I think they'll win this game and improve to 3-1 over Oakland. This will be a close game, but I think the Colts win. It'll be a good game, though. Chargers and Dolphins. Chargers are, I think, a 16, 15.5 point favorite. Doesn't really matter. Chargers will win the game because Dolphins are, without a doubt, the worst team in the league. I think somebody can make the argument that the Dolphins could possibly go winless, even though I think they'll squeeze 1 or 2 wins in there somewhere along the line, but they're not winning this game. Chargers win in a blowout. Redskins and Giants. Daniel Jones, the debut of Daniel Jones last week, he showed promise in his first start against the Buccaneers. He led them to a late victory, threw for like 360-some yards and 4 touchdowns, I think it was. And, he's proven the doubters wrong. Nobody liked the Daniel Jones pick back when he was drafted in April. In the preseason, he showed promise, and in his first NFL start, he showed promise. And I think he's going to get the job done again by beating the Redskins this week. Redskins, like the Dolphins, they're just terrible. They're one of the worst teams in the league. But I think Jones is slowly but surely on the road to silencing his critics. I do think he's going to be a pretty good quarterback. Better than Eli Manning, as good as Eli Manning is or Baker Mayfield is right now, like some sports analyst said a few days ago. I don't know, but I think he is going to end up being a pretty good quarterback. Giants win. Seattle and Arizona. Cardinals still winless. Seattle 2-1. Kyler Murray still in search of his first NFL win. The Seahawks are coming off a loss to the Saints. I think they rebound from that game and beat the Cardinals on the road, even though I think the Cardinals will keep it close. But, I think the Seahawks, just a more talented team. Russell Wilson, Chris Carson get the job done, as well as DK Metcalf and all them. They proved to be more talented than the Cardinals on offense, as well as the Seahawks defense being more talented than the Cardinals D. But Seahawks win. Tampa Bay Buccaneers and LA Rams. I just don't think much of the Buccaneers. I don't. They haven't been good for years. I don't think they made the playoffs since 2007 or something like that. Rams are 3-0. But, yeah, Rams will blow out this team. They're just a much better team than the Bucs. Give me LA. Minnesota and Chicago. This could be one of the games of the week, in my opinion. I do think it's going to be a great game at Soldier Field. Kirk Cousins versus Mitch Trubisky. The Vikings have the edge on offense over the Bears, but the Bears have the edge on defense over the Vikings only slightly, because the Vikings defense is really good too. But I picked Minnesota to win the division this year, and if they're going to win the division, they have to win a game like this. They can't let Chicago prove to 3-1 and then fall to 2-2. If you're going to win the division, if you're going to live up to my prediction, Vikings, you have to win a game like this. And quite honestly, I think they will, because I just don't think even though they played the Redskins last week. The Bears had a good offensive showing against Washington last week, but they were playing the Redskins. The Redskins are one of the worst teams in the league. They're playing a much better team this week in Minnesota, so that's why I think that the game will be close, but Minnesota will get the win. Jacksonville and Denver. If this game were later in the season, I guess you could view this as a toilet bowl game. Broncos 0-3, Jaguars 1-2. Gardner Minshew, don't get me wrong, he's played well for Jacksonville so far, but I think Flacco will get the Broncos their first win of the year against Jacksonville. I think it'll be a defensive battle. I think it might come down the wire with a late field goal or something, but the Broncos will squeak this one out and get their first win of the year. Sunday Night Football, Cowboys and Saints. In my opinion, this is a tough game to pick. Even though Drew Brees is out for the Saints, it's at New Orleans. I think that, Teddy Bridgewater, since coming in for Brees, he's played well. He led them to the win last week in Seattle. Dallas is 3-0. They haven't really played anybody yet. They played the Giants, the Redskins, and the Dolphins. And they played the Giants before they had Daniel Jones in there, who I think is going to do pretty good, like I said. But, this will be the Cowboys' first test of the year. Can they improve the 4-0? Maybe, but it's hard to tell, though. I think since it's at New Orleans, I think the Saints get the win on a late field goal. It'll be a great game. Cowboys, they'll still go on to have a great year, but this is a game that I think they lose. Bridgewater, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, and all them, they will lead the Saints to victory this game. Behind that home crowd and behind that energy at the Superdome, I think the Saints win. And then Monday Night Football, Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Honestly, the Bengals are 0-3, Steelers are 0-3. This is another toilet bowl game. I'm honestly, I'm very frustrated with the Bengals right now. I understand that it's Zach Taylor's first year. I understand that it's a new coaching staff. It's a rebuilding year. You got to give him time to, get things in place and build a winning culture there. I understand that, but the Bengals should be 2-1 right now. They lost by 1 in Seattle. They score a touchdown to take the lead in Buffalo, or they score a field goal to take the lead in Buffalo, but then Buffalo drives right back down the field, scores a touchdown to beat them. They've had some tough luck so far this year. There's no way they should have won the game in San Francisco. They just got totally blown out that game. But, yeah, it's just looking like a terrible year for the Bengals. I think they could squeeze out 5 to 6 wins somewhere along the line, but it's the defense. The defense played horrible against San Francisco. They played well against Seattle and Buffalo, but I just don't. I'm just not expecting much from the Bengals. I'm looking forward to hockey season. I'll still do the recaps of the games and the NFL picks every week, but I'm pretty frustrated with the Bengals right now. I just feel like Zach Taylor could possibly be another clone of Marvin Lewis. I don't know why, but I get that feeling. But we'll see, though. I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see. But the Bengals, I don't expect them to win this game at all. We all know, if you're a Bengals fan or an NFL fan in general, you know how terrible the Bengals have been in prime time over the years, especially on Monday Night Football. I think I saw where the record was 2-9 or something all time on Monday night or something like that. No, they were 2-9 in their last 11 preseason games. That's what it was. But the Steelers, like I said, they've always had the Bengals number, especially in Pittsburgh. I don't think the Bengals will win this game. I think that the Bengals will play them close, but Steelers, unfortunately, will end up winning in the end. It could go either way. It could be a blowout or it could be a heartbreaker, but either way, the Bengals will lose. I have no faith in them to win a game like this. So the Steelers, unfortunately, will get the job done. Well, there's your Week 4 picks. I'll be back next Monday or next Tuesday with the Bengals and Steelers recap. And good luck to everybody's teams this week.